Have you ever fixed what you thought was a small mistake, then watched it explode into a full-blown legal nightmare? Picture this. A tiny scrape in a parking lot, a handshake, a cash deal, and months later the other driver sues you. I'm about to tell you how I turned that mess into a $5,000 courtroom win. Stick around. This one gets satisfying. If you love courtroom victories, petty revenge done right, or real-life justice stories, hit like and subscribe. You'll want to see what happened next. Alright, deep breath. Here's what went down. I'm 22. Construction foreman. Been running crews for years. Started summer jobs at 14. I make good money, but I work hard for it. For my job, I need a rig that can tow heavy trailers and get into muddy, icy job sites. So I drive a beefy F350, lifted, reliable, and not something you want dinged up. That truck wasn't just a status symbol. It was my livelihood. One evening, I got off work, exhausted, didn't feel like cooking. I swung by McDonald's, grabbed a Big Mac, and started to pull out of the parking spot. I was checking the road to my left, but I didn't notice the car right in front of me had paused, also not paying attention. My bumper kissed his mirror and left a scrape along his door. It was minor, no real damage to my truck. I immediately reversed, hopped out, checked on the guy, and apologized. He said, "Bro, we're all good. Give me your insurance info and we'll sort it." Simple. Civil. I handed over my details. We both left thinking the whole thing was handled. A month passed. Nothing. Fine, maybe he decided not to repair it. Then he called. "The shop says $2,403, he said. "That's higher than I expected, but okay." I told him to get it fixed and I'd pay. A month later. "They can't get me in for 2 weeks and might charge more if they find more damage." His tone started to feel weird. Then he said, "Or you could just write me a check for $2,500 and we'll call it even." Felt odd. But whatever, $2,500 and peace of mind. We agreed to meet. I wrote up a short contract on the spot, clear language. "This payment is accepted as payment in full for the damages and releases me from any and all liability." He barely glanced at it, signed the page, pocketed the cash, and refused a copy. Red flag? Maybe. But he seemed fine. I sent him a photo of the signed contract and went to bed. Then the universe did what the universe does. Ignored my good faith. Another month, and I get a lawyer's letter saying he's suing me for failure to pay for damages. A cold spike of anger went through me. I'd given him cash, I had a signed contract. I called him, he blocked my number. Lucky break. My girlfriend works for a lawyer and helped me get in touch with legal counsel. She told me something crucial. In my state, a written contract over $500 is enforceable. That little piece of paper I made? Not just paper. It was my shield. But I wanted more than a shield. I wanted the truth out and the guy's games exposed. I pulled out my phone and started looking. First, I had the damage photos and his company logo on the passenger door. I dug into the Better Business Bureau and public reviews. What I found changed everything. This guy owned a local business. And he had a pattern. Dozens of complaints, low star ratings, people accusing him of quoting low estimates and then jacking up the price. He did the same exact thing to others that he was trying to do to me. I printed those complaints. I saved the BBB pages. I organized my texts. I had the original $2,500 contract. My lawyer and I smelled a setup. Imagine this. A man who built his living by shady estimates tries to run that same scam on a random 22-year-old who was too tired to argue. That arrogance was deliciously combustible. Court day felt like going to war. The plaintiff walks in smug. The guy who expected me to cave. He casually asks, loud enough to be heard, "You ready to give me more of daddy's money?" Nice. He thinks money and intimidation will win. His lawyer starts with the usual narrative. Hit and run in a parking lot. We barely got a photo. The defendant pressured me to accept a low settlement. He tries to spin it into sympathy. But the evidence spoke for itself. I handed the judge the signed contract. The inked promise that said $2,500 paid equals full release. I handed printouts of our text exchanges. Then, the kicker, I handed a packet of BBB complaints showing the exact same scam pattern. Low initial estimate, later tripled cost. The judge flipped through it. You could see the color drain from the plaintiff attorney's face. And then the plaintiff, irritated and desperate, did me a favor. He said to the judge, loud and stupid, "I don't even have the $2,500 anymore. Can I just get that and we'll call it even?" Translation: I took the money, and now I'm trying to extort more. That admission. Game over. The judge looked at him with that calm, crushing patience that only courts have, then ruled in my favor. I won. The judge ordered him to pay my legal fees, damages, and compensation for wages lost while attending court. Here's the math. My day rate for the job I was on, the project where I was the foreman, came out to a high number. I was technically losing $475 an hour in wages to stand in court. The judge awarded me lost wages, my legal costs, and damages. By the time it was all tallied, the total he owed me was close to $5,000, roughly double what I'd initially paid. He tried to scam me out of $2,500 and ended up on the hook for nearly $5,000. I didn't plan the math. The law did it for me. The man who tried to run a routine hustle got hammered by the one thing he forgot to consider: durable proof. I won't pretend it was only about money. There was a wild satisfaction, not petty glee, more like relief wrapped in vindication. I tried to be a good person. I apologized, I offered cash, I wanted to avoid insurance premiums. But when he weaponized my decency, I felt violated. The court win wasn't about getting paid. It was about being acknowledged that I'd been right. Walking out of that courtroom felt like the air was clearer. I wasn't just vindicated legally, I'd been respected. And the look on his lawyer's face as the judge slammed the gavel. That's a small human thing I won't forget. There are some takeaways worth saying out loud. Get it in writing. Even a short, clear contract matters. Over $500? Even more so. Document everything. Photos, texts, receipts. Keep them. They are often the only thing standing between you and someone else's lie. Don't ignore red flags. A refusal to keep a copy of a contract is a signal. Make a photo anyway. Use the system. Courts are slow, but evidence-based arguments win. Don't be intimidated by legal threats. Often the bully can't back up their story. Be kind, but be smart. You can act in good faith and still protect yourself. This story was a small collision with a big lesson. I tried to be decent. He tried to exploit that. The system swung the other way, and I walked away with more than money. I walked away knowing that standing up for yourself, keeping your records, and following through matters. If this resonated, hit like, subscribe, and tell a friend who needs a reminder to document everything. Have you ever been scammed after trying to do the right thing? Drop your story in the comments. I read them all. Thanks for listening, and remember, be decent, be vigilant, and when life tries to mess you over, sometimes the best revenge is a calm, evidence-backed win in court.